Oh, this is the day I'm having. Oh, okay, going at it again. Here we go. Nancy Grace aired tonight. Sebastian Rogers update is number one, Seth passed his polygraph, so we can clear that off the table. 60% of the show pertained to talking about the photo that law enforcement has released a press release stating it is not Sebastian Rogers. I don't plan to stay on long here because I think that there are plenty of people in the public that need maybe some time to digest some things, because you have a lot of, it's kind of a 50-50 people that are going to say, well, he failed the polygraph test no matter what you say. And we still have just an unbelievable amount of people who are not believing the press release that it is not Sebastian. And I'm not going to stay up all night and argue about it. There was plenty enough comments going back and forth, and I saw them all over Facebook, so I just can't. We heard that Tony and Seth gave their word that they would not talk about Chris and Katie. So that was interesting. I don't believe they owe them anything. I don't know. I'm not even going to go there. They're not paying for the spokesperson. They weren't paying for the private investigators. So in my opinion, they shouldn't be able to dictate anything anybody does. And regarding Katie leaving, Katie's thoughts apparently, were shared that, well, he could be anywhere. So, well, unless he's at the campground. Okay. And then Tony kind of came in, trying to clean it up with, well, we did hear that they had threats, and we have heard law enforcement directly state they have not had any threats reported to law enforcement. So if there was a threat to their life, they chose not to report it. That's all I can say about that. And we did not hear a path forward. We did not hear what the search efforts are going to be. So basically, I heard that we have more money going on a spokesperson that can basically try to remedy the damage caused by everybody going, online and acting like a-holes, basically. But I don't see money and going into search tools, equipment, anything. So again, this is redundant for me because I have said it the last couple nights. What's happening? So to me, unfortunately for Nancy, by the time the podcast aired, the press release had been, had come out, that the photograph wasn't him. I am sure that it is very hard, I'm sure, for Seth, so today is probably a very difficult day. I don't know if he's accepting it. I don't know. But regardless, I'm sure it's a very sad, he was very, very sure I don't think there's anybody out there that didn't think it looked like him. But there is, in my opinion, nothing in this case leads me to believe that the end result would be him there. So that's, just my opinion. It sounds like the public sleuthers are being encouraged to go back to square one in searching. Not Sebastian at the road. Well, I think they confirmed it was Sebastian at the restaurant. It's just not Sebastian in North Carolina. Well, I mean, Adrian, this is what I've been saying, for days. I don't know. Look, I've watched a couple shows now. I'm seeing everybody's they're kind of moving on because they don't have content to fill on this case. So I've seen other creators, switching it up as far as some that are still covering it. I can kind of see, what I'm calling like a look of defeat, not in a good way, but, that they are not getting the inside scoops. They're not going to have interviews, to the degree that they had before. But like I've been saying, I mean, a lot of what has been talked about, other than the fact that you're hearing his name, isn't solution oriented. And so I never left the drawing board, but I refocused on search and where would be good places to search. The problem is I'm not in Tennessee. So what do I do with that? Who's searching? What organizations and groups of people are actively out there searching to give them recommendations that you worked really, really hard on to come down to? What do you do with that? That's my problem. So was tonight another nothing burger? To me, it was. It absolutely was. And I do think it's, he hired a spokesperson, but that's not going to change anything other than, he's helping him not talk about Katie and Chris. But in the end, the damage is done. The things that were said can't be unsaid. And when content runs out, it's just going to be replayed on loop. So the reality to me is more money when, we get rid of somebody who is an investigator to bring on somebody to talk for us. What else needs to be said? You're a father. We know you love your son. We know you want your son home. I think he is grown enough to go on any media platform and say, my name is Seth Rogers, my son, Sebastian Rogers, looks like this. He went missing. Can you come help me? Can you come and help me search? Do you have dogs that you can bring in ATVs and GPR and all these things? Do you have those things? Come and help me. He is old enough to do that. He's a grown man. The other two parents aren't going to come out and ask for anything because they're not going to do it themselves either. So this is reminding me of another case that I basically have shut the door on because Nobody wants to do anything except going in the same circle. So it's extremely frustrating to me. You can go on every major news network and social media platform, but if what you're doing isn't telling people who's missing, what do they look like, all of the possible areas that they could possibly be that you know of, where to send tips for searching, who's in charge of it, what organizations are involved. Other than that, nothing's happening. So at some point, this is what happens. Everything fades into the background, and people that want to sensationalize a case will just keep moving on to all of the other horrific situations that are happening. Or in my case, I will take the information I have, I will put it aside, it will be there if I ever find a place where it is to send it. And then the other part of me has to work on helping the people that actually want help, and I know what they're looking for. I know what they need. So I don't, other than, I think that they had confirmation he clocked in. There's not been any searches that transpired at his job site. Well, you're right, Adrian. That's what I'm saying I am doing, is that I am still focused on the search aspect. I am in my programs every day, honing in on substantive locations, and then trying to see if, going through things, if those are logical. And if somebody at some point comes forward as the point of contact for that kind of information, we can funnel it there. Beyond that, like I said, I'm heavily focused on the Elijah Vu case, and others that are all in the playlist. And we'll be going out on searches for Elijah, because it's quite clear to me every single time I see the families' faces, the police department, it's very clear what they're doing, what they think happened. They want the public's help. They want active volunteers to search. They're giving everybody a clear direction. They're keeping everybody informed on dates, times, locations to meet, things like that. Why does it matter? Green Eyes, I don't know that it mattered. I think the Texas Roadhouse only mattered because I think a lot of people wanted to make sure that he didn't disappear day or days before it was reported. It drives me nuts. If we learned anything from Summer Wells, it's that the TBI and Tennessee DA need to find the missing child to charge one way or another. Do you? It does. I mean, if you have hope, which, if we are in that phase where we, for whatever reason, are looking for a recovery, we are only 60 days out. No, I wouldn't try to charge somebody with something if I didn't have a body and it's only been 60 days. But look at Harmony Montgomery. I mean, that happened. But I believe firmly there's still people out there that have information that are not coming forward. Besides parents, there are plenty of people out there 5:48 a.m. Monday. Well, I personally believe what transpired was between 10 and 11 p.m. Sunday evening. Chris was at work at 5:15 a.m. A lot of that is going to come down to electronic evidence. Bodyworks. I would really hate to think that, because that would be just awful. And I know a lot of people went down that path about the construction site that Chris works on, because, he made the disgusting comments explaining, how to bury someone in concrete. I don't know, Green Eyes. I've not really heard a lot of Chris commenting on this North Carolina mountain visitor center photo, other than he just did not think it was him. And in my opinion, Seth does not know what happened to Sebastian. So for him, he does not know that that is not his son. Chris is affirmed really quickly that that was not him. So if that's the case, it's because he, in my opinion, he knows it can't be him. He knows. He knew immediately. Oh, Green Eyes. Okay, the fighting on web sleuths. Yeah. That was about the Texas Roadhouse thing. And I just don't think that in that case, Seth was explaining himself well. And, Chris, the way Chris interpreted things, and that was just an unnecessary moment. But yeah, I don't think they have, I think it is, I think the whole thing is just, continuing to be discouraging and disappointing. But I can only put myself in those shoes and say, what would I do? If I had that money and my child was missing, who would I hire? What would I try to bring in with that money? And a spokesperson wouldn't be it. It wouldn't be it. Because I don't really care how good you are at talking publicly. You don't even have to talk. You don't. Chloe does, is totally capable and had been from the very beginning of sharing updates when they were, of substantive value. So he shouldn't feel the need to constantly play to us. Other than, again, if you should just keep it brief. This is who I am. This is who my son is. This is what I need from you. It's that simple to me. Search resources 100%. And that is why I just get, more and more discouraged. I just was disappointed tonight. It didn't have anything of value to me other than, well, we promised not to talk about you guys. And the good news was, Seth passed his polygraph. But as we saw today with the press release, there's still going to be a lot of people that aren't going to believe that no matter what you tell them. The sky is blue. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's red. So what do? You can't just sit and just go back and forth with the nonsense. My opinion is, I've put my feet in the ground on the whole thing, And if they want to go back and forth and debate, they can go to someone else's channel and do that. I feel like we have a really great community we're building here. I think that people in chat have always been very respectful. I did just have somebody who was kind of getting on the border where they just felt the need in the last live, I think it was, to just disagree and go after every single comment that every single person made in chat. And that's not healthy in my opinion. I don't need everybody to agree with me. We can go back and forth on thoughts and theories and ideas. And I don't have to agree with you, but we can still have opinions and a healthy dialogue. And in the end, all that matters is we find him. So why Chris and my parents weren't at dinner Roadhouse Sunday? I didn't hear him say that, but I'm not saying he didn't. What I heard was him saying, you know darn good and well where my parents were Sunday night. And so all I got out of that was, well, where were they Monday? Where were they Monday early morning? I don't know if they have anything to do with it. Yes. And I didn't hear the Roadhouse part, though. I know they were talking about the Roadhouse video footage with the police and that, he was mad. He was like, you mean to tell me you didn't sit in that room and see it kind of thing. But as far as his parents, Seth made a comment and then Chris kind of bit back and said, you know exactly where my parents were Sunday night. And so, I would be putting words in their mouth to imply what he meant by that. But it just made me think, okay, where were they Monday? I don't know. It's just the first thing that popped in my head. I could go through their statements and interviews and find just mountains and mountains of misstatements, lies. One day it's this, one day it's that. And I could sit on here 24 hours and do it. It's not even worth my time because, he's just too convinced that he is the best liar, that he's the best at getting everyone to believe exactly what he says. And I just don't believe that he's a good person, and I don't believe he is an honest person. So did he deserve anybody to give him their word? No. We'll see where this whole Tony thing goes, because I think it was a poor decision to spend resources on a spokesperson. I don't know what he costs, but considering, Seth and Caleb Harris's dad, who is a coworker of his, are the only two people and the only time he's ever done this. I hope it wasn't a whole bunch of money. And I hope he didn't charge his coworker. I hope that, I don't know. I don't know. I guess that's not fair to say he shouldn't have charged them. I guess he's working, but I don't know. How much do you pay someone who's never done it before? He's not an investigator. He's not knocking on doors. He's not interviewing people. He's not able to recover evidence. He's not a search and, he's not going to be running search and rescues. We heard that. So, basically someone to interview with Seth. So that's all I really got for tonight. I hope that we learn more about their plan for the future and the searches. and progress out, beyond even Hendersonville. And if at a point that doesn't happen, maybe I will publicize, some locations and see if there are volunteers willing to go, as long as it's not private property. The only reason I haven't is because I don't want anybody to go there first, move evidence, do anything, tamper with anything that might be involved in the disappearance. So I don't want to have to talk about it out loud. Yeah, but I just assure you that, I'm not done with Sebastian Rogers. I would say I just have very little confidence in the direction the parents are taking at this time. And my focus remains on searching and doing anything I can to help bring him home. And we'll just see where this goes. I'm sure they will schedule another slate of interviews. And I imagine at some point they will interview with somebody and talk about their reaction to the press release. And that, again, is the official press release from Sumner County, because they made a statement, but yesterday or the day before, but it was gray. And I even said, I wish they would have just said something concrete so we wouldn't have to deal with everybody overthinking things. And sure enough, they did make a statement, and good. But, doesn't change the fact that, people are still going to say what they're going to say and believe what they're going to believe. So this is the update for tonight. This is really all we have. If you did not get the podcast, it usually airs the next day, where you can find the actual Nancy Grace interview on YouTube. Depending on when it's released, maybe we'll watch it together. I don't know. Because so much of it was related to a photo that is off the table now, in my opinion. That's why I simply, in my community tab, I put the direct quotes. I shared a few posts so that people could just read what, kind of that stuff was, and then they wouldn't have to listen to 60% of something about something that isn't relevant anymore. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. Wish I had better news, but this is what we can do, and we all just will continue to do our part to help in any way we can, and that's all we can do at this point. So until next time, I hope everybody has a great evening.